Hello and welcome to AWS, one of the most secure cloud computing offered nowadays. This is the main AWS page. My name is Priscilla and today we will be talking about Amazon Autoscaling. I'm going to show you the importance of Amazon Autoscaling, and you will also configure Autoscaling today. And remember that you can always go to linuxjobber.com and have more videos for yourself. When you go to the page, you can click on tools and then it's going to show you the various videos that it has for you. And also remember that you can get help here on this website. Okay, right now I'm going to take you back to the AWS page. In this page, we have to click on EC2. And it's going to take us to the EC2 Management Console, and from the Management Console we have to scroll down, and under Autoscaling we have to click on Launch Configuration, and it's going to take us to the Autoscaling page. This is the Autoscaling page, and even though this is the link to create an Autoscaling group, but it's going to take us to the page where it's going to tell us the steps that we need in order to create the Autoscaling. So we need two steps. First step, we have to create a launch configuration, and second step, we have to create an Autoscaling group. A launch configuration is where we have to define the kind of instance that we want Autoscaling to launch for us. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and select the create launch configuration link, and it's going to take us to this page here. This is where you have the various operating system options. You have to choose the one that you want, the one that suits you and your environment. You are just defining it in that group. You want that each and every time that you want Autoscaling to launch an instance for you, it's going to launch the kind that you define in this launch configuration. You need a launch configuration because you don't want Autoscaling to just go and spin up any instances. You want it to spin up a particular instances with a particular characteristics and features that you want to define in here. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and select the second option. And it has selected this one for me, and I'm fine with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on the configuration details. So excuse me. So right here, this is where I have to give the details about the launch configuration. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a name. I'm gonna call it launch one, and you can always give it any name that you want to. It doesn't matter. Okay, so here you have so many options. If you wanted to request for a spot instances, you can select the option here. If you wanted an IAM role, you can select the option here. If you wanted to enable CloudWatch monitoring, you can select it here. But right now we have to click on the advanced details buttons so that we can assign one of the important things here, which is the public IP address. Here I want us to assign a public IP address to every instances. We want that any instances that Autoscaling spins for us, it should give it a different public IP address. And here, if you don't like the default kernel ID, if you wanted a particular one, you can always click here and select the one you wanted. So, and then the RAM this too, if you're not happy or you're not fine with this one, you can always click there and select the other one too. But right here, we're gonna use the default. And now that we've defined what we want in this page, we'll go ahead and click on skip to review page. This is the review page. This is the page where you can make your editing. If you wanted to edit the instance type, you click here. Wanted to edit the details, you click here. But if you are fine with the details as it is here, there's the name. The option is on demand, no optimize. If you are happy with the details here, you can go ahead and click on create launch configuration, and here it's gonna bring a page where you need to select the kind of the key. If you wanted to create a key, that's fine. or if you don't have a key, you can create a new one. Right now that we have a key, we're gonna go ahead and select on this one, and it's gonna, and we go ahead and create a launch configuration. A launch configuration has been successfully created for us. That is why it is selected up here. And before I go ahead and talk about how we have to create an auto-scaling group, I also want to talk about the importance of auto-scaling. Think about it that it is Black Friday and you have so much traffic, so many customers shopping online, and you realize that your instances, they cannot keep up with the load that is coming in, and you really wanted another instance added. Will you not use auto-scaling to automatically spin up an instance for you? Or you have two options. You can use auto-scaling to spin up an instance for you, or you can let the administrator take some time to go and spin it up for you. But you remember, you want to save time. You want, time is money. You don't want to lose your customers. So Amazon auto-scaling is very, very important. These are the kind of situations that we can use auto-scaling. So right here on this page, we have to give the group a name. I'm gonna call it group 1. You can give it any name that you want, it doesn't matter. So right here, this is where you have to specify the number of instances that have to be in the group. Here, if you specify that you need to have 3 instances in the group, auto-scaling is always going to make sure that you have 3 instances running. That is the good thing about it, and this is where auto-scaling plays the roles of availability. It makes sure that the instances are always available, because if one is terminated, it's gonna automatically spin another one for you. It makes sure that your instances are available. So next one is that you have to go ahead and select the VPC. If you are not okay, if you don't want to use a default one, you can always create one. And here you also have to select a subnet too. And here I'm gonna go ahead and select the second options, and when I'm fine with it, I can also click on the advanced details to give more details about the group. So right here, if I wanted to receive load balancing, this is the load balancing that we are talking about. So I will click here and I'll define the things here, but right now we are not going to choose that option. But if you wanted that option, if you want auto-scaling to balance the traffic for you, you can always click that. So that when you click here you have to specify the class. You have to specify the target group. Like, okay, now we are just creating group 1. So here, if you wanted it to be in group 1, you put group 1 here. What kind of herd is it? Is it EC2 or ELB? You always click here. Then they check periods. How many periods? How long do you want it to check? And the monitoring. And then here, do you have instance protection? This is where you can define all of that. The good thing about it is that auto-scaling is so smart. If it sees that the workload is too much, this is where it comes into play and does a lot of stuff for you. But right now, we're not going to use that. So right now, with this definition that we've given for the group, we go ahead and click on configure scaling policy. Right here, it's going to give us the option. Do we want to click onto the initial size of the group? Remember, we choose 1. If you are fine with it, we're going to go ahead and click OK. But if we're still going to adjust the policies, we can click here and then we adjust it down here. But right now, since we are fine with our initial group, we're gonna go ahead and review right here. This is the information. This is the name. This is the group. Is gonna have 1 instance running, and the minimum is 1 and the maximum is 1. The minimum, it can always be 1, it can never be 0. So the maximum, you can specify the number of instances that you want running right here. And then this is our subnet. This is the health check is EC2, and then the period is 300 seconds, which is approximately 5 minutes. That is going to check and update for us. And right here, if we want to receive notifications, you can always click on edit, and then we add a notification but right now we're gonna do that one later. So right now we have to go back to the page. Okay, so on our review page now, since we are fine with the configuration, we have to go ahead and create auto scaling group. And here we go, our group has been created. We can now click on close. So right now that our group has been created, I'm gonna take you to the instances page, and I'm gonna show you how the auto scaling group is launching an instance for us, because we define in the group that it also has one instance in the group. This is the new instance that auto scaling is launching for us. And if we go back to the auto scaling page, right down here, yeah, it's gonna show us the details. This is the page, and then this is the group page. Yeah, so the groups page here, you can see details about the instances right down here. If you scroll down, this is EC2, and these are the activity history. Here it is showing us that it just successfully created an instance for us. This is where it gives details about what the group is doing. And here, this is the scaling policy. Here we can go ahead and add a policy. This is how good auto scaling is, because it can help in cost management. Here we can go ahead and create a policy in such a way that it's gonna shut down an instance if we know that the CPU utilization is low. So with that, we're gonna create a policy so that if no one is using the instances, rather than us wasting our resources, auto scaling is gonna go ahead and terminate the instance for us. What is the policy? We can just call it, let me just say it delete, because it's gonna go ahead and delete the instance for us. I can just create it there. And then now that we don't have an alarm, we can go ahead and create one. So what is the alarm? And it's gonna send notification to the email address. This is where you define and you put your email address in here so that you receive a message when the instance is being terminated. So when do you want this alarm to be ineffective? Is it when the CPU is average or minimum? Here, let me just go ahead and choose minimum. The percentage, do you want it to be greater than or equal to a certain percentage, or what? Right here, I'm gonna create less than or equal to 2. So we are saying that, okay, if the CPU utilization is less than or equals to 2, here, what number of consecutive time do you want it to be? Here is, I want it to be 1. Then for how many minutes? Is it for 5 minutes, 6 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours? Here you specify. You don't want your instance to be idle for 6 hours and no one is passing there. That is wasting. So this is where you really use auto scaling to save your resources. So here I'm just gonna select on 5 minutes, meaning that when my CPU utilization is less than or equal to 2 for 5 minutes and once, auto scaling is going to terminate that instance for me. So this is the alarm that I'm creating. We go ahead and create the alarm. So here, now that I'm fine with it, I'm going to click on close. Okay. Now that we click on close, now we're going to continue in creating our policies, because for the policy to be in effect, you need to have an alarm, and that was what we just did. We created an alarm, and this is it. This is the summary here for us, and it is telling us that when this bridge comes, so what is the action that you want it to take? Do you want it to set to something or remove? So here, what do you want it? How many instances do you want it to remove? Here I put 1, and then here 2 percentage. If it was in a group, you can say that 5%, 2%, but here I have just 1 instance in my group, so I just put it. Here they're asking when, what time? Is it when CPU is equal to or less than 2 or what? So here let's specify here. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1, and then we're gonna continue. If you wanted to add any step, you can always click here to add the step. For right now, I'm fine with the step, so we're gonna go ahead and create a policy right here. Right now, we've created a policy that is gonna help save us much our resources. It's gonna shut down the instance for us when it is not using it for anything. And we can also add a policy to we can also go ahead and add the policy so that for load balancing, this is where one of the most important things of auto scaling, load balancing. We can also add a policy here that if you see that the CPU utilization is 75%, 80% high, you can go ahead and add an instance for us. So those are one of the benefits of auto scaling too. So right now, we can click on instances. It's gonna show you the instances that are running. This is the one that is running. This is a life cycle. It is in service. This is the zone. It is healthy. And here goes another benefit of auto scaling too. If this instance was unhealthy or is corrupted or what somehow, auto scaling could have deleted that instance and spin up another one for us. So that is another good thing about auto scaling too. Here, if we wanted to monitor our instances, is here where you can also monitor. This is the minimum size, this is the maximum group size and the capacity, the count, all the details. This, if we had a standby, it's gonna show it right here. The one in service, we have one instances in service. The one pending is 1. It shows us everything right here on the monitoring page. And we can go on the notification. Here it's gonna show us, oh, there's a warning that EC2 that group metrics is not enabled for the group 1. So we have a warning because we have created an alert and we didn't have any metrics available for groups. So for that alert to be effective, we have to go ahead and enable metrics collection for our group 1, of which we will do that one later. So right now we have the notification tab. If we want to create a notification, you can go ahead and click notification right here. What do you want the notification to be? Is it about launching an instance? Is it about terminating an instance or fail to launch an instance? You know, notifications are good. It's one of the another benefits of auto scaling too. Something might went wrong. You might be somewhere and something might went wrong on your instances and you didn't even know. So with this notification and alert, you can always know the status of your instances. So these are many cool things about auto scaling. So right now we're not creating anyone, so we're going to click cancel. If you wanted to click tags, you can always do that here on new instances, and here you can schedule actions. For instance, we always know that most of the time on weekends we don't have much work. We can really schedule and we can really schedule an auto scaling to delete some instances for us, especially on weekends that we are not using it. But you are not using it, you want to save resources, so we can schedule it here so that it can do that job for us. So right now we won't schedule, so that's fine, but this is the page. If you really wanted to schedule, excuse me, it has selected the group 1 for you, and so if you are not happy with it, you can always go back and create it and select the ones here. Even though we have just group 1, we can create as many groups as possible. And I want to talk about the importance of group, because in groups you specify the number of instances, you specify the kind of operating system. For instance, I can go ahead and create a group now, and okay, here if I want the same launch configuration, fine. If I don't want it, I can just go ahead here and create a new launch configuration. And remember the other one, we had the second option. Here I can go ahead and select the Windows machine, that okay, this is the one that I want in my launch configuration. I can and then I can go ahead and do that. But I just wanted to show you that you can always have so many launch configuration and so many groups, and it's important because in a group you can want it. For instance, on weekends when you don't have really much work to do doing, you can make it in such a way that group 1 that has 2, 3, 5 instances, they can be effective on weekends, and then on weekdays you can use another group that has like 5, 6, 7 instances running. So with that you can really save your resources and also save money too. So right here, if we still need to do anything, if we still want, okay, here the activity details are always updated like every 5 minutes. So right here I'm also going to take you to another action. I'll really show you how important, how it accomplishes its availability task. Right here I'm going to go ahead and terminate this instance, and you're going to see how autoscaling will automatically launch a different instance for us. I'm going to click here, yes, terminate. It is terminating, and we can go back to the group page, autoscaling group, and then we can also check on history. If we go to history, it hasn't been updated yet, but very soon we're going to see the information, what is happening and what is going on. It's going to show us here very soon. But back on the instance page, you can see how the instance is shutting down. Here the page. Okay, this is it shutting down. I'm gonna go back to the autoscaling group, and we're gonna see on the activity history, it's gonna show us that it terminated an instance and it created a new one for us. This is it here. It's saying that this is the instance. It is not yet in service. It has successfully terminated an instance for us, and it has created one for us. Wait, that means that we are being covered. Wait, that means that autoscaling, that is what we call fault tolerance, because if there was an issue with the instance, here the check, it heard the check. Here on the monitoring, if it wasn't healthy, even on the activity history, here it is showing everything. So if the instance was corrupted or deleted or terminated in somehow, we are covered, because autoscaling will always make sure we had the number of instances that we have defined in the group. Thank you for watching the autoscaling videos. For more information about AWS, you can always go to linuxjorba.com, and here on the tools they have numerous videos for you. They don't only offer videos, but they can help you to solve your difficulties that you have with AWS. Keep in touch for more videos.